I-R-I. I-E-R-I. Chief, if you can please come forward.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. I want to highlight this case because I know throughout the weekend we were getting a lot of inquiries from the media. As you would expect, with a child having been abducted, it's of great concern of the population of our community overall. Whenever a child is at risk, I think everybody has a sense of connectivity to those types of cases, and there's a longing for closure, positive closure, to a positive ending. And because of all of that attention, I could tell you that we felt it would be in the best interest of the media, our community, and the police department for us to have this press conference to give you the details and the timeline of the events as they occurred, as well as to sum up the tremendous work that was being done behind scenes in collaboration with some of our local, municipal, state, and federal partners to bring the victim, Kirby, home. And that we did. So, on Saturday, June 8th, at about 12:15, Peoria police officers were dispatched to a call regarding family problems. The suspect, Kevin Carr, was in a physical altercation with his brother at the time, and the reporting party was his mother. Because of that call, officers responded, they conducted an investigation. At that time, there was no probable cause to an effective arrest. No crime had been established. We then also learned that Kevin at that time was having a supervised visitation with Kirby. Kirby is his biological daughter. Kevin's mother was the supervisor, court-appointed supervisor for that visitation. After the police department, police officers left the scene, shortly after, we later learned that Kevin then left the residence approximately 15 to 20 minutes after with Kirby. He had managed to take the car seat out of his mother's car and transferred it to his, and then left without notification and without the knowledge of the mother at the time that he had left with Kirby. Shortly thereafter, she became aware that they were missing in a matter of minutes. She then called the police again. Peoria PD patrol responded, did an exceptional job of gathering all relevant data and intel for us to then work from that point forward. We also learned that Kevin had taken some other personal items of the reporting party, his mother, at that time, which aided us in the investigation moving forward. As patrol continued to build and work this case, Criminal Investigations was contacted, and our detectives that you see to my left worked this case from approximately 4 p.m. on Saturday tirelessly throughout yesterday evening to ensure a successful conclusion. But from that time moving forward, they got together, started pooling our resources, and did a phenomenal job of reaching out to our partner agencies. First, I'd like to recognize Phoenix PD for their support in checking various locations and for the use of their air unit. Their air unit was instrumental in going over and checking certain areas as we had sightings of Kevin as far north as Chino Valley. And so Phoenix PD's air unit was able to assist with us in that fashion. In addition, Gila County was another agency that helped us out quite a bit. The Sheriff's Office, Chino Valley PD, and then of course the Phoenix office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation was called and contacted later that night. As the investigation continued throughout the night. We had a number of tips that came in. Basically, if you saw our media alerts, the vehicle description that was given out was very distinct, very unique, we'll say. And because of that, it was identified and seen by a number of people. That information was then shared with us. But we were a few hours behind in each occasion. So we continue to work it, continue to employ multiple investigative tools. And with the assistance of the Federal Bureau of Investigations, we continue to do so. Yesterday, we continued moving forward in that fashion, and with the FBI's assistance, we were able to locate the suspect in the area about an hour east of Albuquerque in New Mexico. Our detectives were very proactive in responding. They got up with New Mexico State Police. They recognized that the suspect was moving in the direction of Amarillo, Texas, and quickly contacted Texas as well, Department of Highway Safety, to ensure that they would be on the ready should the suspect make it that far. As that investigation continued on, we were able to narrow down the location, the exact location of the suspect. We also know that he had some communication with the biological mother at that time. That enabled us to zero in on him and locate him in New Mexico with the assistance of the State Patrol and the local county deputies. They then took the suspect into custody without incident. They were able to locate the child, no harm. The child was safely placed into custody and awaited for her mother to respond out there to pick her up. Overall, it's a tragic event from the onset, in that a young child's life is in danger. And I think the urgency demonstrated by our investigations division demonstrated that their professionalism, their sense of urgency to address the crime and to seek a successful outcome. And I think we did that. I certainly want to let you all know that I was there and witness to much of the work that was being done yesterday, and I was very impressed. And I was also very appreciative of the FBI's assistance. These types of partnerships where we collaborate from agency, from local, state, and federal, I am accustomed to. I've had a lot of experience working with a number of agencies throughout my career, and this is another example of the phenomenal collaboration and efforts on parts of everybody involved and how it can bring about a successful outcome. So I'd like to thank the FBI specifically. I know right now we have the Acting Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Kyle Roberts, here. So thank you. Appreciate your help. And then without further ado, I'll just say this. The child's safe. The suspect, Kevin, is currently in custody in New Mexico. We've authored an arrest warrant for extradition back to Arizona, where he's being charged with kidnapping, Class 2 felony, and custodial interference, Class 4 felony. With that, I will open it up for any questions.
Chief, I know that you guys put in a couple requests for an Amber Alerts. DPS said with that first request, in their minds, you guys didn't relay an imminent threat to the child by the suspect. Do you agree with that assessment? Do you feel that Kirby was in imminent danger the entire time, and was there miscommunication?
I wouldn't say there's miscommunication on our part. What I'll say is that there are 5 conditions for an Amber Alert, and an agency, for an Amber Alert to be approved, all 5 conditions have to be met. Okay? First is the child has to be under 18. The second is we have to determine that the child is not a runaway and a custody dispute is not the sole reason for the request. The third is that the abduction poses a credible threat of imminent danger. serious bodily injury, or death to the child. The fourth is there's enough description detail about the child, the abductor, and the abductor circumstances that an Amber Alert activation will locate the child and/or suspect. And the fifth is there is information available, if disseminated to the public, that would facilitate safe recovery of the child and/or apprehension of the suspect. Kevin Carr's criminal history includes aggravated DUI, of which he was arrested in September of 23, where I believe he was in possession of drugs and drugs paraphernalia in Payson. It was an aggravated DUI because Kirby was in his custody at the time. So for me, driving a vehicle under the influence with a child creates an imminent threat. And yes, it was in September. However, he does not have joint custody. He only has supervised visitation, which tells you he has no custody rights to the child. And because of that, the court had determined that he is not fit to have that custody, which tells me they perceive a threat. I can't get into the semantics behind the court orders and the verbiage that was used, but I believe that the judge that signed the last court order felt that way too, but without anything current and or recent. They did their best job in order to outline the potentials. So I don't think there was a miscommunication. I just think that when we look at things like this, when we look at cases like this, we need to look not necessarily at the letter of the law, but at the color of the law. And I say that from the standpoint that it's important that we look at those that are involved. And we as law enforcement, we've all signed up to help those who can't help themselves. Sometimes they need our help and don't know it. Sometimes they want our help. And sometimes they absolutely don't want it, but we're there to help them anyway. In this case, who's going to help a 2.5-year-old other than an immediate family, and who has the resources to do that? We do. We had a good vehicle description. We knew who the suspect was. We knew the direction of travel to a certain degree. We knew he was leaving the Phoenix area. But I believe we had all of the elements within the color of the law for that to be an effective tool. But that also goes on to show you how creative and how resourceful we were by utilizing the other resources from an investigative means, and in partnership with the FBI, we were able to find him regardless. So thankfully, the child wasn't harmed or affected, so it's a win.
You said that the mom or the family member was the court-appointed supervisor. Just having a supervised visitation with a family member of someone who doesn't have custody, is that typical? And I know that Kirby's mom's family, when I talked to them, they said that they weren't super shocked by what happened, just given how they feel that the court system is set up. Is that a typical way? And I guess what can people in similar situations, bad custody battles like this, do who feel like maybe they have nowhere else to turn? What would you say to them?
I would say just be engaged, be an active participant in that process. I can't get into the details because I don't really know them that well, and I don't think anybody here really does, because it wasn't something that we've been actively involved in. I believe it was a Gila County case. But make sure you have advocates, to make sure you have people that are involved, these children, and for the right reasons. We want to see the very best for everybody that's involved. We don't want to sway favor to one person or another, especially if there's a potential for harm. But I know how challenging it can be with family court and with these types of incidents and these types of matters, because there's a lot of emotion. So I would encourage people to seek out an advocate, court advocate, self-appointed advocate. There's a lot of groups out there that'll help families in such positions to ensure that the conditions of visitation, et cetera, are done in a manner where it's agreeable to both parties.
Did the suspect have a motive, or was there a target area that we know that maybe he was trying to get to?
Well, we did have some family in northern Arizona that we suspected he might be traveling to, but he bypassed that. As far as a motive, we don't know that. We haven't had the opportunity to interview him at length, simply because of his location. And so hopefully at some point down the road, I suspect, given the nature of his behavior, that he probably didn't, that it was probably a spur of the moment kind of a decision. He was probably frustrated that the police were called the first time and was probably angry, and as a result decided to leave. That's my own speculation, but I don't believe there was a motive, and/or I don't believe it was necessarily anything else other than that, just other than an emotional reaction.
How fortunate are we that you were able to use all these resources that were available, be able to bring her back?
Oh, incredibly. You know, I don't think anybody's surprised that we live in the age of technology, right? And with that comes a lot of both positives and negatives to society. In this case, it was positive. There's a lot of other resources out there that we weren't able to take advantage of, that we hope moving forward that this may shed some light on that, and maybe we could start to turn the corner and start to be able to implement some other applications and techniques, and so that's the goal.
Did you find anything on Kevin that could harm Kirby, weapons? I mean, did you find any drugs or anything when he was located that could have communicated plans to hurt her?
No? Yes? No?
We don't have the content.
We have not been advised of that. The vehicle was secured. Kevin's vehicle was secured, and is currently awaiting our folks to arrive there to then bring it back for chain of custody purposes. Law enforcement in New Mexico did not intrude on the vehicle and to do any investigation and they didn't do any search whatsoever, because they wanted to maintain the integrity of that vehicle as a crime scene and allow us the opportunity to bring it back and then search for that. So we don't have an answer for you right now.
And then just back to the Amber Alert real quick. Obviously, it sounds like you feel that all the criteria were met in this particular situation. DPS, for whatever reason, did not issue it. In, God forbid, the next case, how do we ensure that, you know, something more is done? Do we need to change anything? Is it, what would you maybe like to see happen for, God forbid, the next case that, you guys aren't able to pool all your resources and maybe get a positive outcome like we got in this one?
Well, I'll say this. The next case is going to be very different. Every case is a little bit different, right? And so I'm hoping that as that next case evolves and as our investigation moves forward, that we will have the information to share that will ensure that an Amber Alert, a Silver Alert, Essential, et cetera, will then be issued as needed. However, that's just one piece of the puzzle. We will continue to explore and employ other investigative techniques and means in order to ensure the safe return of whoever it is we're seeking out to help. Any other questions? All good? All right. Well, I appreciate your time. Chris?
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate you all coming here today. Once Kevin ends up getting extradited back to the state of Arizona, we will send you all of the information, booking photo, and stuff to that nature. We appreciate you all being here. Thank you.